This is CBN News Watch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Gary Lane. Today, we begin this half hour in the Middle East as Israel scores military wins in both Gaza and the north. The focus of the war seems poised to shift to Lebanon as concerns grow over the possibility of Jordan becoming radicalized against the Jewish state. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has that story from Jerusalem.
The Israel Defense Forces say they have dismantled Hamas's Rafah brigade, eliminating more than 2,200 terrorists and destroying 8 miles of terror tunnels, some 80% of the underground tunnel network beneath the strategic area known as the Philadelphia Corridor. This allows the IDF easier access to destroy the many tunnels around Rafah that link Gaza and Egypt. Hamas used those tunnels to smuggle huge amounts of weapons into Gaza. With Israel increasingly gaining the upper hand over Hamas in the south, the IDF is looking north to potentially launch a major ground operation against Hezbollah.
The center of gravity is moving to the north. We are nearing the completion of our tasks in the south.
Hezbollah showed that it's still a threat this week, hitting Israel with 100 rockets Wednesday and 60 more Thursday. Striking back, Israel is already targeting areas in Lebanon and Syria to weaken the terrorist group before possibly launching an all-out war to stop Hezbollah's daily attacks and let some 60,000 Israelis return home. Israel's defense chief this week visited the troops who would likely take part in a ground invasion.
And this thing is a ready arrow, ready for action. We will know when to activate it.
And Israel apparently scored a victory against Hezbollah and Iran earlier this week when it reportedly took out an underground Iranian missile factory in Syria. Trouble could also be brewing on another border as Islamists just scored big wins in Jordan's latest elections. Palestinians make up at least half of the population in that country, where the political arm of the Muslim Brotherhood won 32 of 138 seats in Jordan's House of Representatives, garnering 500,000 votes. Observers warn it's a victory for the Brotherhood, the radical Islamic group that gave birth to Hamas. Many Jordanians have already been radicalized, chanting in the streets, "All Jordanians belong to Hamas," and "Death to Israel." This Islamist praised his son for murdering 3 Israelis at the Allenby Bridge crossing between Jordan and Israel on Sunday.
I'm honored and proud that I've raised a hero who carried out a martyrdom operation in defense of Islam and Arabism.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this week visited the long border his nation shares with Jordan, making certain his forces are ready to handle any threats there.
It is important for us to ensure that this border remains a border of peace and security.
Some experts say Iran is pushing for the overthrow of the King of Jordan. If radical Islamists ever gain control of that country, it could pose one of the biggest and nearest dangers to Israel. Netanyahu warned the challenges along the border have already been growing.
There is an attempt to smuggle both terrorists and weapons across from Jordan into Judea and Samaria and into the cities of Israel.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
The October 7th Hamas attacks devastated many Israeli communities near the Gaza Strip. The village of Habesor, however, tells a different story, one of heroic resistance and remarkable resilience. Our correspondent Chuck Holton brings us this inspiring account.
Habesor is a small farming community just 4 miles from Gaza. As Hamas terrorists invaded on October 7th, this village became an unlikely stronghold of resistance.
We realized for the first second that this is something different. We took the kids to the shelter, and then the chief of security sent us a text message, go to the fence, to the gate, to defend our people. They're invading to Israel.
Pretty much every single kibbutz and small village around Israel has one of these big yellow security gates at the entrance, and most of the time they stay open, but the Hamas terrorists took advantage of that fact on October 7th by bringing jamming devices that wouldn't let people close those gates. And a split-second decision on the part of the guard at Habesor probably saved hundreds of lives. As the attack unfolded, villagers found themselves drastically outgunned.
My brother was the only one with the rifle. That time, in the front gate when they came. They came with a pickup full of terrorists and motorcycles, and they came fully armed. It wasn't just a terror attack, there was a military operation.
When Gepner's brother was shot in the shoulder, Yiftach knew he had to get him to a hospital. So he loaded him in his car and sped out the back gate, right into a waiting squad of terrorists.
We saw the ambush of 2 pickups and several motorcycles with a bunch, about 30 terrorists, that start massive shooting on the car. My brother was hit for the second time in his hip and in his belly, several bullets. All the windows was exploding. I was managed to drive in reverse. We managed to escape.
Remarkably, no one from Ein Habesor was killed or kidnapped that day. The village's preparedness played a crucial role in their defense.
When the chief of security sent us a text message, they're invading, go out, we already had a group of 70 people that went out without even asking any question. Now it's a different story. Now we have enough rifle, enough handguns, anything we need to independently defend ourselves if there will be a situation like that.
Now, months later, the village is rebuilding and growing stronger.
Now, we are September 1st, this is the beginning of the school year, there are about 85% of the people that came back.
This resilience isn't just about security. It's about building a thriving community in the face of adversity.
We are opening a new sports center here in the Moshav. We're just going to be stronger because there is no other option that we're going to leave this piece of land, this beautiful piece of land, without having our people here.
For Dr. Gepner and his neighbors, the events of October 7th have only strengthened their resolve.
Israel was established after the Holocaust, with zero chance to establish the country. We survived the 67 war, the 73 war. Look at where we are now, when we have a strong, maybe the strongest army relative to the size of the population. We're going to win this war. This is not even a question. Keep that in mind. Israel will just be stronger following October 7th.
From Israel, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Back here at home, natural disasters across the country with the raging wildfires and an earthquake on the West Coast. Well, parts of the Southeast and Midwest are dealing with the aftermath of Tropical Storm Francine. Dale Hurd has that story.
Firefighters are finally getting some help from the weather in the form of cooler temperatures as they battle 3 major wildfires in Southern California. The fires have burned 100,000 acres and destroyed dozens of homes. This is all that's left of the home Joe Caruso's father built back in the 1980s.
I was hoping my kids would get to kind of grow up in the same house I did, but life happens.
Officials say at least one of these fires was deliberately set and have charged Justin Halstenberg with arson for sparking the line fire, which has burned over 37,000 acres. With wildfires raging in the mountains, Southern California residents were jolted awake Thursday when a 4.7 magnitude earthquake rattled the Los Angeles area.
It felt like it was the big one for a moment.
It felt like God was holding our house and shaking it and saying, get out.
The U.S. Geological Survey said the quake was centered 4 miles north of Malibu and that there was no major damage. In the southeast, Francine continued to weaken after first coming ashore in Louisiana Wednesday evening as a Category 2 hurricane. At the storm's peak, 450,000 people were without power as a storm surge flooded hundreds of structures in coastal communities.
I lost the roof on the shop. They had a lot of strong winds, a lot of water, as you can see.
Fortunately, there were no reports of deaths or injuries. CBN's Operation Blessing is already on the ground in Louisiana, working with church partners as recovery efforts begin.
It seems like the greatest need we're seeing right now as a result of significant power outages with localized flooding is that they may need some hot meals. And so we're considering bringing in a mobile kitchen. We've also got the ability to send relief loads of food, water, and ice if necessary.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Coming up, There's a new top-secret U.S. nuclear strategy to account for global threats and China's nuclear expansion. But see why some experts believe a stronger policy may also be needed. Stay with us. You're watching CBN News Watch. Welcome back to CBN News Watch. 61 countries have agreed that humans and not artificial intelligence should control nuclear weapons. The U.S., the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Japan, and others endorsed the plan at a summit on AI in the military in South Korea. However, China did not go along with the agreement. And the Japan Times points out experts warn that even countries who support the plan may not actually observe it. Not only is it non-binding, but AI could provide major military advantages, all of which means computers could be making decisions on nuclear weapons in the future. While American leaders combat threats to our democracy, they're also working on a new nuclear strategy. The plan, reportedly signed off on by President Biden earlier this year, is said to provide new guidance to account for global threats and China's rapid nuclear expansion. The details remain top secret. But as national security correspondent Caitlin Burke reports, experts believe the policy change is necessary if the U.S. is going to deter its nuclear-armed adversaries.
As long as nuclear weapons have existed, the United States' priority is preventing any such attack against the homeland, our allies, and partners. Maintaining that role in today's world has led to calls for an updated plan.
If you look at the National Defense Strategy Commission, they said as China develops a full-fledged nuclear triad and Russia threatens to deploy nuclear weapons in Ukraine, not to mention continued advancements in the North Korean nuclear arsenal and the threat of Iranian nuclear proliferation, the U.S. strategic deterrent remains critical.
In recent speeches, senior Biden administration officials have been given clearance to allude to changes.
The president recently issued updated nuclear weapons employment guidance to account for multiple nuclear-armed adversaries.
Last month, Dr. Vipin Narang, an MIT nuclear strategist and former defense official, said his office was advising the Pentagon on how to plan and posture U.S. forces in the current nuclear landscape. While Narang isn't calling to grow the U.S. stockpile yet, he says adjustments to weapons currently deployed may be necessary if adversaries continue down current paths.
The Pentagon estimates that Beijing had 500 operational nuclear warheads as of May 2023. Okay, 500. Well, compared to what? Well, they're going to have over 1,000 of those by 2030. That is what some military leaders have called a breathtaking breakout. What makes it even more reckless, I'd say, and even irresponsible on Beijing's part, is they're doing it with tremendous secrecy. And they're stubbornly refusing to negotiate with us a strategic arms reduction treaty. The Trump administration has tried. The Biden administration has tried. So we have the whole thing going on with Putin where he's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And then we have Beijing, who's unwilling even to talk with us in good faith about some sort of treaty.
Bradley Bowman, senior director of the Center on Military and Political Power at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, says whoever becomes president needs to focus on two things when it comes to U.S. nuclear posture.
I would say continue to fully modernize the modernization of all three legs of our nuclear triad. I would look for opportunities to expedite those as much as possible. And simultaneously, I'd be reaching out diplomatically to Russia and China and saying, we are ready to do real negotiations, real, not fake, negotiations that elicit commitments on both sides that are transparent.
China has expressed concern over reports of a new U.S. nuclear plan, accusing the Biden administration of seeking a strategic advantage by peddling a, quote, China nuclear threat narrative. The White House says the new plan is not in response to any one country or threat. In a recent visit to Beijing, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan specifically assured President Xi that Vice President Harris, if elected in November, would continue to responsibly manage the relationship with China.
She shares President Biden's view that responsibly managing this competition so it doesn't veer into conflict or confrontation is essential.
An unclassified account of the new nuclear guidance is expected to be given to Congress before President Biden leaves office. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Still ahead, we have a preview of the newest God's Not Dead installment. Plus, a look at more stories making headlines in the world of entertainment. Stay with us. You're watching CBN News Watch. Welcome back to CBN News Watch. Steve Curry is a four-time NBA champion, two-time NBA MVP, and now holds an Olympic gold medal. After the win, France dubbed him the Devil. But Steph isn't willing to claim that title. Plus, we take a look at the newest installment of the God's Not Dead series hitting theaters today. It's called God's Not Dead, In God We Trust. These stories and more are in the countdown of the week's top 5 stories in the world of entertainment.
At number 5.
Please welcome back to the Late Show, four-time NBA champion and now Olympic gold medalist, Steph Curry.
France called him the Devil following this year's Olympic win for Team USA. But Steph Curry's faith in God is front and center in his post-game interviews.
Your Instagram bio says Philippians 4:13. And I'm curious what that verse of Philippians is from the letters of St. Paul and what it means to you.
When I was a freshman in college at Davidson College, North Carolina, my mom texted me before my first practice, and she gave me a bunch of words of encouragement. And her favorite verse was Romans 8:28. So she's like, you need to pick a verse that you can go to when your times of need and give you that inspiration. So Philippians 4:13 was for me, and I still write it on my shoes to this day. Every pair of shoes.
You just put 4:13 on there?
Philippians 4:13 with the little I can do all things, and it's just a great reminder. Obviously, you're always searching for purpose and why you're here, and for me, that's it.
At number 4.
The Wild Robot by Peter Brown.
Actress Lupita Nyong'o observes National Reading Day, sharing the book, which is now an animated movie, with herself in the starring role. It's in theaters September 27th.
Hello, I am Rosem, Unit 7134, but you may call me Roz. While my robotic systems are activating, I will tell you about myself.
At number 3.
2 movies we've covered here are doing well at the box office. Preliminary estimates from box office numbers from Mojo.com show the film Reagan, starring Dennis Quaid, finished number 3 this weekend and has brought in more than $18 million after 2 weeks in release. It tells the story of former President Ronald Reagan's life, his faith, and his political career.
I call upon the scientific community, those who gave us nuclear weapons, to turn their great talents now to the cause of mankind and world peace.
And The Forge came in at number 6, grossing nearly $21 million after 3 weeks. The film is about a young man with no plans for his life who discovers how God could have a greater purpose for him.
You need to be more of a fountain than a drain. And you need to start giving more than you're taking. The more I thought about it, I was using people to reach my own goals without loving them at all. And that's the thought that I have for you today.
At number 2.
I want to tell you a little story. A few months back, my friend Woody Guthrie and I, we met a young man.
It's an early look at the film about the rise of one of the most iconic singer-songwriters in history.
He dropped in on us out of nowhere and he played us a song. In that moment, we got a feeling we were getting a glimpse of the future.
A Complete Unknown is the story of Bob Dylan, coming to theaters Christmas Day.
Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son?
At number 1.
There are a lot of folk that no matter what color they vote, they have lost hope in the future of our country. I see it.
The popular PureFlix franchise God's Not Dead grows with a 5th installment this week. God's Not Dead, In God We Trust.
Why was America, what was it built on? What were the principles that it was built on? And that's what God's Not Dead, In God We Trust is all about.
David A.R. White is back as Reverend David Hill in the story that centers on issues like freedom of speech, religious liberties, and the role of faith in public life.
This is a fight for the soul of our nation. We're at a tipping point, I really believe, in this country, Democracy was always fragile, so we have to have our faith. This movie is going to be, I think, really even more powerful, or just as powerful as the first one. 40 million Christians don't vote. And another 15 million don't even register.
It's in theaters September 12th.
That's one of the great things about these films is that there's something in them for everybody, you know, and there's something in there for families and all ages.
In God we trust.
Coming up, it's a muddy mess, but for a good cause. We'll have the details right after this.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning, the CBN News Quick Start Podcast. Each weekday morning at 7 a.m., get quick highlights of the day's important news. Then an in-depth analysis that goes beyond the headlines. Insights that matter to people of faith. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Find the CBN News Quick Start Podcast on iTunes or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts, because truth matters. Download the CBN News app, 24/7 news from a Christian perspective at home or on the road. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Set daily prayer goals and pray for news stories. Read the most important news and watch CBN News Channel live. CBN News, because truth matters. Go to cbnnewsapp.com to get the app today.
Football season is underway at all levels, the NFL, college, and high school. And in case you missed it, the Mud Bowl celebrated its 50th year, wrapping up a 3-day muddy mess on Sunday. Players trudged through knee-deep mud while trying to reach the end zone. The annual event takes place at Hog Coliseum in New Hampshire. The players have fun, but are serious about winning the game of two-hand touch football. Over the years, it's raised more than $1 million for charity. Well, that's it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news program on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, which is formerly known as Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. Until then, have a great day.